Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the infrastructure committee meeting this month. This meeting will be audio recorded, and those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements. There will be no other recordings of this meeting without prior authorisation of the committee. Do we have any applications for attending the meeting via video link?
No, Madam Chair.
Any apologies?
No apologies either.
Any disclosures of interest?
None submitted.
And I take no public participation.
No.
Moving on to business items, ISC 12.1, the infrastructure services, water and sewer. I'll hand over to you, Graham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will assume the report has been read. I'll highlight 4 items in the report. The first one being that the KPI for the water quality for Merriwa has been amended to 100%. It was originally reported for the last 3 months at 93, but we have shown that water quality has actually been to our KPI, and so that's been reflected in the future reports. The second one is on page 3, which is that the Merriwa STP is going through a compulsory accusation for the easement. The owner will be notified about this week, and so that there may be some comments or questions in your direction. The third is the Santa Road. There is an easement being requested and being put through as a council report for the discharge of the rock channel at Murrurundi. I apologise, that will come through as a council report this month. And the last item is that we made a submission to IPART. So New South Wales Water are looking to raise their rates over the next 12 months, next 5 years. That's likely to be, well, that's suggested to be 100% increase or a doubling of our water costs. That means that our consumers will pay about an additional $17 per year. And we made a submission saying that's probably greater than being reasonable. That would be all of that, Chair.
Can I have a mover and a seconder? Is that report? Second. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's how it. Moving on to ISC 12.2, works program infrastructure services work delivery. Back to you, Raj.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just some highlights on the works delivery report this month. As you can see in the KPI table, we are exceeding the monthly target and the year-to-date target, in our capital as well as maintenance works. It's going in pretty good, tracking pretty good now. In regards to the flood remediation works, there was some discussions going on with the 987 flood event for the emergency and immediate reconstruction works, but we've had a meeting with transport last week. Actually, 2 days of one-to-one with transport, and we are going to claim 95% of the total costs, which is good news. The other one is regarding the design and construct package for the 6 culverts. 3 have been completed so far, and there's works currently going on in Richmond, and there's going to be work starting in Colson's Creek Road, which is MRT 58. In regards to the landslip at Barrington Tops, so the works has been given to Ricks Group, and the works are progressing pretty good. We are expecting it's a 12-month contract originally, but I think the Ricks Group has been fast tracking the works, so hopefully the works are expected to be completed by March next year, depending on the weather conditions as well. In regards to the 10-12 RRTRP betterment project, we've got funding for installing causeways or converting gravel causeways to concrete causeways, and installing pipes for the drainage. We have prioritized the sites so far, and we have got the funding deed signed. So we are looking at commencing the works over the next year, and hopefully it will be managed internally, most of the works. And in regards to the e-power works for all flood events, 987 e-power works are being completed probably around 60-70%. The other repower works are ongoing and, we have sought extension till June 2026 to deliver all these works. We have received extension for one of the flood events, but we are still waiting on confirmation for the other events. Apart from that, we have also attached some photos of the works in the Barrington Top Slip, as well as the update on our resheet program. I'm happy to take any questions.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair, Rag, I think this might be the right spot to bring it up. You know, the social media around Wheeler Corner yesterday, thank you to the staff for doing that temporary fix pretty quick. But can we really look into doing something on that corner, whether there's funds or maintenance program? I mean, it does want some attention. But that's that one, and the Barrington Tops landslip, the incident there last week, is that going to hold things up at all, or they'll move on?
Chair, so just to give a bit of background, on both things regarding Wheeler Corner, what's happening is that section is a pretty worse and it needs remediation. Now, for the temporary works, what we have done is we filled all the potholes and we are doing the slashing today. This will probably improve the side distance a bit more and also this is basically band fix, but we understand that there are some major works that need to be done, and we are estimating it to be around 250,000-300,000 over mark. So we have, sent it to asset team, it will be prioritized for the next set of heavy patching, the next year, hopefully. Now, in regards to the Barrington Tops, slip remediation works, so there has been 3 incidents last week and 3 thefts basically. And there's been around $100,000 worth of materials lost from the site compound as well as from the work site. And the first 2 incidents, basically thefts, and based on that, there was some security guard put in for the 3rd day, but the theft again happened, and this time it was a knife point and gun point. So it is concerning. The police are working on it. The contractors put some cameras and they've got some footage. They're working with the police, and this is not put out public anywhere. This is just for the notification of the councillors at this stage. And the contractor is progressing with the works, but they're also working with the police to actually resolve this matter.
Okay, any movements in the second, please? Moved, seconded, all those in favour? The ayes have it. Moving on to ISA 12.3, strategic and capital works update. Back over to you, Doug.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I assume that the list of projects and the reports being read. So again, we are tracking pretty well with the capital works for this financial year, and we are actually ahead of schedule, and we look forward to getting most of the targets done for this year so far. I'm happy to take questions.
Was there any questions?
Through you, Madam Chair, on Moonam Brook Road, a bit of fire in the car, are we happy with the results of that?
So yes, so that as it was flagged in the last infrastructure meeting, there was some payment mix issue where there was excess cutter oil put in the design. This was the issue by the contractor. We have flagged it to them, and we have done some temporary patchworks by the contractor. I think we might probably give a bit of an update during our Moonam Brook project update on this. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just a quick question with regard to the Merrill Sports Precinct works, the fencing and the lighting. Is there any anticipated start date for commencement with that?
So, Madam Chair, thanks for that, Councillor Ryan. So what's happening is with the Merrill Sports Precinct, there's a master plan that's currently being developed. We have got funds allocated for the fencing or renewal of the fencing, which is estimated at $100,000, and the lighting upgrades. So in regards to the fencing, we were actually waiting on a concept master plan design to come to us and probably go to the committee first. So once we identify that's the same footprint for the replacement of fence, we will look forward to delivering it. And till that, we received a draft version of the master plan, so hopefully early next year is when, the fencing probably will happen. And there's no changes to the footprint. Now, in regards to the lighting, there was 150 grand allocated for, the lighting upgrade, and initially the estimate that was given to us was for upgrading just the lights and leaving the poles as such. But when we went for a lighting design, we identified that, because it's going to be a regional sports precinct, there should be, the entire lighting design and upgrade that's required, which might cost, probably around the $300,000-500,000 mark. So we are still working with the lighting design consultants to see what sort of upgrades we can do, and how we can, accumulate the works and deliver it at one stage.
Well, is there any more questions? In that case, can I have a mover and a seconder for that report? Moving on to ISA 4.4, MR 358 Willow Tree Road upgrade.
Thank you,
Back to you, Jeff.
Madam Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide an update on the progress of Cottage Creek Road. Remember, attached to the report is our section indicating the 40 sections that we're working on and photographs of current activities we've taken over last month. With the works undertaken in section 1, the uphill battery excavation is now finalised and complete. In section 2, we're still progressing with the garden wall construction and sub-drainage excavation works. As we are in section 3, we're still doing the gating walls and the subsoil drainage. Section 4, the gating walls, mesh anchors, and uphill battery excavation is all complete in that section. So there's a bit of cross drainage to put in and some road paving to construct. The table showing the critical activities from the last month we reported. Gating wall construction has gone from 30% to say close to 40%, so we're still moving along. We're still in critical activity on site. To date, the estimated cost of the gating wall construction is $7 million out of the total project. We spent 1.7 to date, so it's about 40%. Another big move in there is the rock meshing, which has gone from 40% last month to 98%, near complete this month. Shotcreting open drains, earthworks has gone from 85 to 90%, 90 to 95%, so small movements. It's slow, steady work, but they're progressing really well. Anticipated completion at this stage is September, October. The 25-day variation to the contract length due to wet weather, 25 days of wet weather. Another 10 days because of the rock diameter is going from 100 mil to 120 mil. Any other highlights? Not really, that we're working right through Christmas, having a 2-week break after Christmas, continuing. Any further questions, or anyone who's visited the site, they'd like to make a comment?
Through Madam Chair, just a comment. I thought the tour the other day was brilliant. The workmanship looks brilliant. I know there's been a bit on social media about doing a bus tour for the community. I don't think that's possible because of the hold up, but can we get some low footage, drone footage and put out on the social media? Okay.
Yes, that's actually happening tomorrow. We are getting some drone footage through the entire site, as well as a GoPro 360 kind of footage, which will be made available in our website for public.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question with regard to the previously referenced project for the culverts on MR 358. So that's separate to the actual corrective works, but is that something that's going ahead now, or
So through Madam Chair, yes, that's correct. So there are 2 separate works. The 2 culverts for the Colson's Creek or actually came as a part of floodworks package out of the 6 culverts. So that's funded through the New South Wales Reconstruction Authority or through the federal funding for the disaster recovery. Whereas this one is separate to that, which is state and federal combined funding for the recovery.
Any further questions? It looks like progress is definitely moving along. Which is good to see. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the report, please?
Moved.
Second. Great. All those in favour?
Aye.
You guys have it. Moving on to ISC 12.5, local roads initial seal project update. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just pointing out some of the highlights of the report, on the bottom of page 40, that says that on Mineral Road, that's the next period's planned activities to close out the project. That's been completed, that was closed out last week, and the closeout report submitted to Transport for New South Wales on Friday. They are the funding body that we have to report through. So that Mineral Road project is now closed. Now, on the seal that was raised 10 minutes ago, yeah, we've done a dry scatter on some of the areas of that where there was some bleeding coming through. So, yeah, we're talking to the contractors about how we're going to seal that, but we're capturing, in the meantime, we're capturing all of the costs associated with that, so that we can hopefully claim some of that against the contractor once we finish pointing fingers as to who's the blame and who's the responsible for what. Barron Forest Road, we've had some good progress on importing the gravel and getting the gravel now up to 5.3 kilometres. So upgraded off to final level as well. So that's been really good progress within the last month. We have suffered from the lack of trucking on the whole three projects as a whole. One of our major contractors that we have now entered a contract to supply the majority of his trucks to MR358 coming from Martin. So we've had to source another source of trucks, which were done from Tamworth, trucks with rollers and graders and water carts, and they've started on the job about 2 weeks ago, and they've been going really well. So we should look forward to quick progress on carting and material now. And Hunt Road, a lot of activity there, progressing quite well. Are there any questions?
No, it looks really good. The progress has happened. That's exciting to have finished one of the roads. No other questions?
Tree man chair's going to say that I hope that it stays as green as it does for most photos.
Yes.
Look, no,
I probably should just say thank you to the Mineral Towns Club for putting on a thank you barbecue 2 weeks ago. There was some councillors there. That was all the workforce that worked on the road. So very well, went down very well with the guys out in the field. Shows that I appreciate it. It was good.
Good. I've got a mover and a second for that report. Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
You guys have it. Moving on to ISC 12.6, Burn CBD revitalisation project. Do you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good progress on the CBD revitalisation project. Stage 1, as we know, is already complete. Stage 2, 99% complete, and the road is open to traffic. There is some minor defect works that Marathon's currently working on. So the stage 2 completion was kind of achieved on the 6th of December, 2 weeks ahead of the schedule. Marathon are now undertaking the demobilization and the defect finishing works, like I mentioned before. The CCTV has been installed yesterday and hopefully will be commissioned and start operating this week. And the site sheds will now be removed in the next week or two. And then the project team is currently working with Transport for New South Wales for the approval of the HDA, which is the High Pedestrian Activity Area funding, as well as having Kelly Street handed over to the Armand Council. Now, the project team is also working on, finalizing the funding and finalizing the grants and the closeout reports as well. So that's the update. Happy to take any questions.
I do have one, which we did discuss last time about the difference between a pedestrian crossing and a wombat crossing. there still seems to be a little bit of confusion in the community as to who has right of way. Can we maybe get some signs or something?
So, that's, we're already working on it, so there's two things here, one is, yes, we can, we have put all the signage which are compliant, but at the same time, this is also something to do with the road safety awareness, so we passed it on to the road safety officer who might do some road safety awareness programs. In regards to the HPA, funding that I mentioned, we have got an indication from Transport for New South Wales that all these mid-block crossings should be converted into a pedestrian crossing, which will kind of make it consistent with the other crossings and eliminate that, confusion altogether. So we are still working on those aspects, and we are aware of it, and, we will, report on it in the future meetings.
Excellent. Could I have a member?
Just Madam Chair, before you go on, Rag, the cameras, that's all within the budget, isn't it? Someone tried to tell me that wasn't like that. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, that's how we removed the Wi-Fi. We realised that Wi-Fi was included in the budget, so not many people are reliant on Wi-Fi anymore. They've all got their own SIM cards, so we replaced the cameras from the Wi-Fi budget.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder for the report, please?
Moved.
All those in favour?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Moving on to the ISC 12.7 Maribor and Casillas water testing results. Over to you, Graham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a report to be a response to a councillor request to provide water samples that were not within acceptable limits. Council, we have provided all the results in this report. That's why it's so substantial. In principle, on the second and third page, it talks about there's a summary, and you'll see most of the results there are within parameters, except the third line down, which says Marywall microbiology samples, which is the coliforms or what comes from sewer to sewer. There was 5 out of 238 out of spec, and Casillas on the page, on the next page, second from the top, Casillas chemistry samples. There was some out of iron and calcium hardness that were out of spec. But other than that, you can see we've been across 5 categories of chemistry, microbiology, and pesticides, PFASs and radionucleotides, and they're all within specifications other than the ones mentioned.
So just to reiterate, the water is safe to drink.
That is absolutely correct, yes.
Good to know.
Thank you, Madam Chair, so the radionuclide samples have come back as all acceptable, is that correct?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. The samples came back and have been calculated by New South Wales Health, by DQ and by us. We all came back with similar calculations, and they're shown in there to be well within about a third of what you would expect. A third of the limits that you would need to react and start retesting with different frequencies.
So just to clarify, as contrary to what has been said on social media, there is no radiation in the water, or that is of an unacceptable level.
That is correct.
Thank you.
So question, Madam Chair, is there any way we can put this out on social media or on our page? I mean, they reckon we're hiding, but it's there, so any chance of getting that out somewhere?
Yeah, this, so just to answer, through you, Madam Chair. Some of these testing are already on our website, like PFAS thing is already in the website, the radionuclide thing, we did put up a social media post as well. With the other results, the idea is because the council's required, this document is a public document as well, plus we will also put up these results in our website.
Okay, good, put them all up, thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, I think what's very important is what Graham mentioned is that we're actually at a third of the expected levels or the acceptable levels. I think that's a very important point to make sure that that's very clear. Thank you.
Was there any other?
Yeah, through the Madam Chair. With regard to the Casillas chemistry samples, just for some context, the first point to note is that the 5-year sampling shows a an exceedance, which gets 96.25%. And then the most recent sample, 95%, so that suggests that that is getting worse rather than better, but I just wanted to get some context around what does 96% actually mean as opposed to 95%. So, you know, it could well be that, for example, 98% is unacceptable, or it could be that 58% is unacceptable. So how do you actually rank the performance at 95 versus 96%, and is that a dramatic change in the last 12-month period?
So just for context, I'm not sure, hopefully this gives answers the question. Calcium carbonate is an aesthetic quality in the water, and it's not a health consideration. The level of calcium carbonate is it's measured as calcium carbonate. The level is 200 parts or 0.02%. As a reading at Cassilis, the levels have always been over those readings, so that they are in excess. That's correct. The 90, it's about the it's about whether you exceed or the 200 number or 0.2 number, not whether or not it's it's not the 90, it's not the 96%. I'm not really sure.
Through you, Madam Chair, so the 96% is basically saying that 96% of the samples were acceptable, and 3.75% were not acceptable. So that actually doesn't represent the levels, that represents the quantity. So the question is of the qualities. So that's saying that 3.75% of the samples were of the quality that was not unacceptable quality or undesirable quality. So then it's also not about the quality. It's about the hardness of the water as opposed to the chemicals of the water. Correct? That's the way I read it.
I think you're correct, Councillor. The percentage indicates the number of samples that passed, not how much they passed by.
Yeah, that's a massive distinction. If it's passing the criteria 96% of the time or 95% of the time, that's different to failing by 3% 100% of the time.
Correct. So whether if a sample failed by 0.1% or failed by 100%, it's a failure regardless, and it will be shown as a failure in the results. So regardless of whether a sample just passed or just failed, it's either failed or passed. That's the only clarification in regard to the sampling. So the percentage simply shows how many passed the samples.
Through you, Madam Chair, it might also be interesting to find out when those samples were that were not perhaps of what we wanted them, in case it was perhaps after or before heavy rain or after heavy rain, and if that's affected the bore water. Like, I mean, they're so minimal, there could actually be a pattern as to when you're getting an extra harvest.
Madam Chair, there's more detail in the attachments. You can actually see each of the samples listed in the attachments. It will show you the dates. It will show the actual readings, so you'll be able to identify which samples failed. We can do more analysis. If you want to start to do more around that, we can have a look at it if you want.
No, I read that, but it was more whether it's been connected to rainfall or to, because when you talk about salinity in the soil, it's the salinity is high and dependent on whether you've had a lot of rain or not. I'm wondering if that might actually be something that's a natural cause as opposed to something that we have a control over. That was more where I was going.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are 6 months sample.
Yeah.
So through you, Madam Chair, just to pick up and flesh out that last point, which I think is also really important around the impact of quality being aesthetic as opposed to health related. So what that simply means is that the impact therefore is most likely to be on implements that people are using in their domestic environment rather than the individual. So there are negative impacts, but the suggestion clearly is not a health impact per se. It's to do with the water's impact on whatever implements they're using or whatever potentially.
Was there any more comments around that? Okay, could I have a mover and a second of that report, please? All those in favour?
Aye.
The ayes have it. That concludes the infrastructure meeting for December. Thanks, everybody.